This idea of a new paradigm of leadership, a paradigm of leadership that's infused with femininity, collaboration, innovation, creativity, and respect. This is, of course, the theme of this whole season of the podcast. And when I thought about who in my world exemplified this and embodied this, the name that came to mind was my former business coach and mentor and dear friend, Jen Szpigiel. And in a minute, you're going to get to meet her and hear her story and her journey about this idea of personal leadership. I pulled a quote from Jen's website to give you a sense of the breadth and scope of her career. And I'm not even including the stuff before 2020. So you'll have to go to her website to find out that part. Becoming Iconic, which is Jen Szpigiel's company, is a global, multifaceted brand dedicated to empowering individuals to achieve personal and professional mastery. Through mentorship, a boutique agency, a magazine, and a podcast, Becoming Iconic guides individuals towards realizing their iconic potential. Welcome, Jen Szpigiel.
Oh my goodness, Jenny. Thank you for having me. What a treat this is.
It really is a treat, and it brings back so many memories for me. Does it bring that back for you?
Yes. Yeah. We share a lot of really great memories, and more so, I feel really meaningful and deep conversations that we've been able to share. And this feels really exciting to be able to open those up to the world and your community. So, yeah, let's see where this
Let's
goes.
dive
I'm
in.
excited.
I know. Me too. Me too. The idea I want to dive in today. Many of you may know Jen through her brand and her marketing and her companies and all that stuff. I really want to talk to Jen, the businesswoman here today. I want you to take me back to 2020 when you were reinventing yourself. Did you always have the vision for the business to be this big? Like, give us a little bit of that spark from 2020.
Well, you know what's interesting is simple answer is yes. The one thing that I feel so blessed to have in my spirit and just in my mind is a radical personal belief. And I wonder sometimes if that just comes from my life and my journey thus far and looking back and seeing my resilience and my strength and my overcomings and whether that has developed and morphed itself into how I see myself in the world today. I don't fear failure. I don't fear the bigness of my life. And instead, I spend more time contemplating and pushing myself out onto the skinny branch so that I stay in the deep end and continue to expand and grow and see what I'm made of. But the answer is yes. 2020, I knew I was being called into something more, and that burn in my belly had me go out in the skinny branch, and here we are.
Yeah. You say on your website, utter fulfillment. And
Mhm.
that, what does that mean to you? Tell me more.
Wholeness. I feel like, especially as women, speaking to the women right now, I feel like so many of us feel like we have to sacrifice or exclude a portion of us in order to be successful in one area or the other. And so that how that looked for me or transpired for me is when I left my very thriving corporate career, I had to make that choice. Was I going to be a present and exceptional mom, or was I going to be a career woman? And I had no example of someone doing the both or doing the both well. And so in that sacrificial decision, I started to really be curious around that and thought, what if it wasn't that we had to sever the ties to our goals and our aspirations to be great moms? Or what if we got to be great moms and our businesses exploded and did amazing things and we contributed to the world? And so that inspired me to really look at fulfillment as a whole. Where can I be present in the moment? How can I give excellence in this moment? And that lens and that intention has been what I describe as utter fulfillment. It's never been perfect. As a matter of fact, I don't seek perfection, but what I do really hold myself accountable to is that presence and that intention setting, that being with you right now is the most important thing in this moment. And that has given me capacity, that has allowed me to really stretch my wings. And the beautiful part is, I've also learned that women don't need to sacrifice any part of our spirit, our goals, our vision, our purpose to be excellent at many things.
Wow. I mean, you guys listening are getting a sense of the kind of essence that our coaching calls had when we were together, Jen. And what I hear is the release of waiting for someone to give you permission
Mm-hmm.
to do the thing. Lately, my visual, Jen, has been these two buckets:
Yeah.
life and work.
Mm.
In the past, the work bucket just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and kind of smooshing the life bucket. And
Wow.
one of the ways I have found to, people throw around words, balance, whatever, is to fill the life bucket to the brim. Because by definition, if the life bucket is full, the work bucket has to like put itself back in proportion, right?
Right.
And for me, that is, looking forward to the kiddo that's coming home from university and planning for that, not just being like, oh, I've got to have to fit that in. Activity, friendships. We see a lot in the world about social loneliness. I've been thinking a lot about this on a personal level, that my connections to my community really matter. And that brings strength and resilience to me. So I offer the bucket visual to you
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. And it reminds me of the get to life, not the have to life. Oh, I have to get ready for my daughter to get home, or I have to
Yeah.
work today. It's like I get to work today and pour into clients or my team. I get to
Yeah.
see my daughter. It's the
Yeah.
reframing sometimes, even in the words we use, that can have those buckets start to fill and even overflow.
Yeah. And it becomes very clear what's important in those cases too.
Mhm.
Because if you're not feeling it, it's okay. You just release it out into the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk about feminine leadership, and you can challenge me on this because I'd love to hear your take on feminine and masculine energy and
Mhm.
leadership. One of the things that I most admire about your approach, and this I think probably trickles into your team, is your playfulness. Your creativity is very much part of who you are. And one of the things that I'd like to, if I had a mark in the world to stamp, it would be that we don't have to be these heavy top down hierarchical structures. And you really exemplify that. How do you bring that creativity and play into your leadership, and I'll comma, and into your team?
Mm. Well, this is again the power of, well, first of all, let me actually go back. Both whether you'd identify as a man, as a woman, or other, we all have feminine and masculine energy. So it's not gender specific. The masculine has really had the forefront for so long. The do, the structures, the
Yeah.
the applications, the SOPs, all the things that really do keep a business running in many ways. But many of us, especially, I'm going to speak to the women again, that's just my heart and my soul. The women listening in, we have lost that part of us that is feminine and powerful, that
Mhm.
ability to receive, that ability to lean back and hold space and be compassionate and lead as human beings, not human doings. And that really makes a massive difference in leadership, because in the softening, and I'm not saying softening where we're soft and we don't have a backbone, I'm saying the softening in, just listening and observing. And that curiosity is such a great way to introduce more feminine energy into your leadership.
Yeah.
If you're like, I don't really get this, it sounds woo woo, I don't understand what this movement is. Curiosity is a great example of just like, what if? What do you think? I wonder. Let's try. That playfulness is very feminine. And so it introduces an expansion away from how we've always done it is the way we always need to do it. And it'll also allows your team to get curious and playful. How
Mhm.
do we see the best in others? By letting them feel space, by letting them feel safe, by letting them really feel that they can express these ideas to us, and that nothing is off the table. It doesn't mean we have to accept every idea or we
Yep.
think every idea is a fit. But imagine a team where people feel like, gosh, I can say things and people hear me and it feels good. And sometimes I have great ideas that they capture and we run with, and other times it sparks something else over here. And so within my team, we very much play in that energy. I
Yeah.
remember many years ago sitting down with a very successful CEO, and him and we shared a cocktail together, and I asked him, how is it to lead your company? It's a big company. And he gave me the best advice that I never forgot. And he said, the thing that I've done really well is I don't enter the room as the CEO. I enter the room as a peer. And when we have meetings, when we have discussions, I spend more time in curiosity listening to the people who are working, let's say, for me, than I do needing to direct traffic and demand and command. And he said what that has led to is people coming to work excited, feeling on purpose, feeling mission driven. It creates collaboration and community. And ultimately, who's ever going to leave that career or leave that job? Like
Yep.
that type of environment really only cultivates success.
Yeah. And it takes a big person to do that. It takes a big person to, I actually think it's twofold, to acknowledge the power you have when you step in the room and to share that power with the people that are there. I was taught that those with the most power have the most responsibility. And I think that story you just told really exemplifies that for me, Jen.
And a level of confidence that is also required. You're absolutely right. I mean, most of us want to prove. There's a lot of proving energy on the internet, a lot of proving energy in
The coaching
boardrooms.
world.
Yes, like just a lot of like, pick me, pick me. I need to prove to you I'm the best. And that doesn't bring out the best in us. Instead, it's realizing everybody has something to offer us. And we have something to offer others. And that, again, I'm kind of going back to that softness, the softening of our spirit to know that we are enough. We were born worthy. We were born enough. And it's just a matter of us stepping into that posture and knowing our unique, special qualities, knowing our genius and our gifts, being willing to bring those forward with authority, at the same time, realizing there's other people who can bring some really valuable things forward at the same time.
I would just love to be a fly on the wall in your team, Jen Szpigiel. Tell me about, now I'm going to nitty gritties. How do you like to communicate? What tools are you using? What's your cadence of meetings? Just for context for our listeners, like there's a magazine that gets produced every month. There's a podcast that gets produced at least weekly, if not sooner. There's a whole other one-on-one coaching business. There's an entire branding boutique. How does it all magically happen?
When people say that to me, I really do pause and realize the extent that the business is at and what we hold. And interestingly enough, recently we've done a lot of refinement and pulling back and realizing it's always about quality over quantity. And even with our team meetings and communication. So a couple of things come up right away as sort of tips and lessons I've learned in leading teams and having people stick with me for a really long time. The number one thing is never forget that they're humans and they have a life and they have a personality and they have dreams and they have goals and they have families. So I take a very I intentionally hold myself accountable to knowing their children's names, their spouses or partners. Someone just told me their mom wasn't well. So I got in today. How's your mom feeling? And always remembering that this is a voluntary army behind me. They could leave and go somewhere else. And so in respect of that, I treat them with respect and I really honor them as each individual. I really dig deep to understand what motivates them because I made that mistake in leadership very early on, thinking what motivated me would motivate everyone. Well, we know that's not true. So understanding like what motivates you. I want to travel with my family, or I want to have Fridays off. Like that would really matter to me. And so how can we strategically come up with ways to make those things happen for you where you're living your dream life and also really honing your skills and being an excellent leader for the team. So there's lots of discussion. I don't really believe in a ton of meetings anymore. I don't think it's necessary. We have one a week, but we dialogue all the time.
Yeah. And describe what dialogue means to your team, because I don't think it means emails. I'm just going to take a wild guess.
No, not at all. We actually have platforms we use. So from an operations perspective, we use a platform called ClickUp. I don't know if it would make sense for your audience, but I think it's something worthwhile to check out and find an operation system that can hold the SOPs, the structure, the to-dos, the tasks that need to be done. It's easy to assign and delegate and just sort of follow through and everybody know what they're responsible for. So I think that clarity in
Yeah.
here's my responsibilities, here's the tasks that need to be done creates team synergy without even having a discussion because everybody's
Mm-hmm.
just in their lane. We do that. And we also have a system called Slack. Slack is wonderful because you can create channels. So again, intention setting, we exclude some people from some channels because why are we going to, get them involved in discussion that really doesn't make it has any relevance to them. And so we
Yeah.
do protect people's energy, but we dialogue often, and it's always through voice notes. That's just what we do. And thank goodness they can 3x me because I have the gift for gab. So I appreciate that they do that. I'm sure they do, but that's how we communicate. It's through voice and connection. And we do a lot of fun retreats and
Mm-hmm.
get-togethers and outside of work experiences. So we remember to stay connected as friends as well.
If you're just listening to the audio, you can't see the smile from my left to right cheek of my mouth. I'm just glowing. This so aligns with the research too. I just want to jump in. This season on the podcast, I have Nate Regier coming to talk about compassionate accountability. This aligns with what he's found in the research. If you're a Daniel Pink fan, he talks about the three motivators are autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
being independent, mastery, being good at something,
Yeah.
and purpose, Jen, that you have a purpose that's bigger than just your little desk and your little computer. And you've exemplified that very well for your team through those three elements.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, the other thing you do really well is you bring in, I don't know whether you call them consultants or mentors, or there are always a host of people in your world. And to be clear, that support your clients in a very, very generous way. One thing if you've ever in coming to contact with Jen Szpigiel, she's one of the most generous people I know. And I'm getting caught up there because she not only does she care, but when you're in her world, and I have to say, I do mirror Chavender a lot around that. Once you're in the Chavender world, you are part of our community, and we will go to bat. We will find ways. We will make it work. Tell me, in Becoming Iconic, there are these wonderful guests that come into your world. Tell us about some of the ones you've used in the past or have been part of your world, and what's your motivation for that? I'd love to hear more.
Well, thank you, first of all, for those very kind words. Surprise and delight is a part of our value system. So, whenever someone's in our world, my first question and my continued question is how can I surprise and delight in a world where I feel like so many people want to give as little as possible and take as much as possible? There's that
Yeah.
exchange that's really unbalanced right now. So I want to differentiate myself by being known as generous and being known as someone who really values their clients and their community and always comes up with these bonuses and surprises and add-ons and ways to really pour into others, because I believe that's how it's meant to be, if I'm being very honest and straightforward. But at the same time, I have not arrived at my destination, nor has anybody, no matter what their title, their resume, their life journey. None of us will get to the place, the summit, where we feel like I've got here, I've arrived, I'm putting my flag or the stake in the ground, and you sit back and relax. And so I am fiercely dedicated to personal growth and development. If I stop my growth and development, guess what happens to my community, my clients, and my team? It all pauses eventually, maybe not simultaneously, but eventually. So I'm in the deep end of learning. I'm in the deep end. If I don't know something, I'm going to find an expert who does, not necessarily because I want to acquire the skill, but I at least want to understand it. And I want to make sure that the community has access to this information if it's important to them. I always have a mindset mentor on deck that's supporting me in those times where I feel wobbly or I'm questioning or, just walking through the journey of entrepreneurship and business. I also have a business mentor, someone who can look at the strategic direction of the company, because sometimes we are so in the deep end of what we do,
Yeah.
we just kind of almost take things for granted a little bit. We need people to remind us of our genius. And just, it's like sometimes I forget, oh, yeah, not everybody knows how to do this. Or that is something special about me that I've forgotten. So that's to identify those beautiful markers, but also to have a fresh perspective, fresh set of eyes to keep us on our toes and keep us innovating and creating and growing and prospering. And you're right. I'll bring in experts all the time to speak to the community because I also recognize that what I'm craving isn't necessarily what they're craving. So I'm always about just learning, growing, understanding, and making sure that the community gets to benefit from that as well.
Hmm. And you are fearless about it. You are building big. I know for many women, this scarcity can kick in right about now. Ooh, can I afford that?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I have never, to me, especially when I worked with you, it was build it and step into it before you're even ready. I remember you saying that to me one time. And so I really want to send that message out to our listeners. Sometimes you don't have the full baked plan, and all you have is a pull, a tug in your belly of a direction that needs to be taken. And for me, that's a visual of a picture I have on a Nova Scotia vacation where it was fog had come in and you couldn't really see. It was like total pea soup, Jen. And I
Yeah.
remember on a mastermind call with you having this feeling of, I've just got to leap before I was ready. And I just kept repeating that mantra in my head. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Almost like coaching myself through the uncertainty. And yeah, it could all not work out, or it might actually work out, Jen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's making decisions from the future version of yourself. Like I will never make a decision from who I am today. And the reason is I still have the back door open from yesterday. I'm still thinking about what happened or last week's
Yeah.
results or whatever. So I'm not making the most empowered decision if I make it from the version I am today. Instead, it's where am I going? What do I desire? What do I believe? Do I trust myself? A lot of it, well, I would say most of it is really not financial. Let's just call it out and own that responsibility, listeners and us talking here. This has to do with lack of belief, scarcity, what ifs, and we can what if ourselves out of all sorts of $1,000,000 ideas. It only takes one thing. What if it works? What if it works? And you can't argue that because if it works, the investment will have an ROI tenfold. And the thing that I know I can bet on is myself. I know, even if the investment, because I still get scared. I think people think once you make a certain amount of money or you have a certain amount of success, you don't have those fears anymore. Oh, friends, they're bigger investments, bigger responsibilities, and bigger fears in certain ways. So I think that's important just to say. But I will say to myself that can I bet on myself? Yes. Even if this isn't what I hoped for, or there's some level of disappointment in this investment for whatever reason, then maybe there's a certain outcome. Sure, that might be there, but what I can know for sure is I will make this the best investment I ever had by showing up, learning what I can, getting those lessons, applying those lessons, and holding myself accountable to where I want to go. And if I want to become her, I've got to make decisions as her. And that has been a North Star for me.
Hmm. It almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't
Yes,
it,
it
too?
does.
The more you do it, the easier it gets. The easier it gets, the more you do it, right? I love that you also mentioned it's not like you don't have the woof in your stomach.
I still do. Absolutely. And it keeps me at the deep end to remember when I have people
Yeah.
looking at, coming and investing in me. I remember when I started entrepreneurship, I just left my corporate career and, there's so many benefits to that in many ways. And entrepreneurship feels very fragile and vulnerable because there's not a lot of certainty. And I remember when I signed up to do it, I thought, I will never forget where I came from. No matter how successful this gets, I don't ever want to forget how it felt to take this leap. All the contemplations, waking up in the middle of the night, sweating, and oh, what have I done? Like all this second guessing and mindset, imposter syndrome. I just never wanted to forget that. I wanted to remember what it would be like for someone to say yes to themselves in relation with me. And that has been really grounding and anchoring. And I believe really helpful for a lot of people who want to invest with me because they feel that sense of compassion and
Yep.
empathy. But at the same time, I'm going to hold them accountable to empowerment and confidence and wise, beneficial decisions.
Yeah. Sign me up. So I can't believe how quickly the time goes. And I'm going to ask you kind of one more kind of penultimate question. Then I want to make sure people know how they can get in touch with you.
Sure.
What are you looking forward to in 2025?
Oh, that's such a great question. There's so many things. All of a sudden, it was like, vroom.
I know.
So that's a good thing. I'm going to celebrate that in real time with you, the fact that I have many. I would say right now, because this is just top of mind and it's happening. I know when this goes live, it'll be after the fact, but I am taking my entire family away to Bahamas, where you and I went, Jenny. We're going to my most favorite resort. And I'm also taking my mom for her 75th birthday. So there's 7 of us. I'm a mom of 4. There's 7 of us getting on a plane next week and going to this beautiful resort that I was able to gift my family. And that is just a moment I'm celebrating in real time because it's the rewards of those yeses that I made, the tenacity, the times I picked myself up off the floor and tried again. It really does make you understand and value the journey and realize that, life is what we make it. Going back to your bucket, this is going to be a bucket filler for me.
Yep.
I'm really excited to develop this memory because part of my life's purpose is to create and build as many memory making moments as possible. So I'm really excited for that.
It's amazing. That's just an incredible trip. And how lucky to have our family, our mom, to be there with us. Lots of people, I feel like I'm in this stage where I'm like, wow, I am so grateful that my mom and my dad are still here. I'm so grateful that I get to spend some more time with them. So I love that for you.
Yeah,
I love that for you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So what's the best way? Tell us about your podcast. Tell them first about your podcast.
Sure. So Iconic Podcast, we're just about to hit our 5-year anniversary. That's incredible to be able to say out loud. So we've been a top rated podcast across the lifestyle and business categories for many years since we started. And right now it's a beautiful blend of solo episodes that support in leadership, marketing, sales, really overarching entrepreneurial / I would say even executive type of clients who come in and listen in with beautiful, I say, iconic guests. And so the beautiful part of having the magazine is I have a really big network of stunning women. And so to bring them onto the podcast to deepen their story from the articles that are written in the magazine has been a real treat because there's versions of them that have yet to be seen by the world. And so I dig deep into their stories and get to know them on a human level versus, all the accolades they get online. So the podcast is a great place to get to know, I would say, myself and also have some really beautiful value add into your life.
Love it. And I feel like magazines are coming back.
Yes.
I know there's a digital version too. So if your passion is, beautiful pictures, but I just want to say it's not just beautiful pictures. There's quite a substantial amount of content in the magazine, the Becoming Iconic magazine. And of course, they can probably find you at your website, which must be
becomingiconic.co. So .co. So everything is there. The magazine is there. We've just moved it to a quarterly issue because I have this vision of making it coffee table worthy, where you keep going back and you learn about lifestyle and business and etiquette and just there's so many good things going into that. So it's meaty and it's almost like a digest now versus a monthly magazine. Again, going back to that quality over quantity. So we're excited about that. Yes, and we do have a digital copy that's complimentary for now. That's not going to be a forever. So if you want to just see it and see what it's about, run, don't walk. And there is a printed issue as well if people would look forward to having that, during their coffee time or those quiet moments where they want to just pause and pour into themselves. That would be a great asset and tool.
I love it. Jen Szpigiel, this has been a milestone. Maybe I could say an iconic conversation with you here today on behalf of myself, my future self, and my past self. Thank you for being a part of my world.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate
Yeah.
you too, Jenny. Thank you for this
Yeah.
podcast and continuing to pour into your community, just in honoring you for a minute. It's such a selfless thing, a podcast. I don't think people realize the time, the
Yeah.
investment, the thought and contemplation, the organization that goes into a podcast that is readily available to anyone, complimentary. And I really want to applaud you for staying with
Mm.
this and continuing to elevate it and grow it. It's important. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was a spark in one of our coaching calls,
Yes.
and it grew quickly, and it has been very fulfilling for me, just for my audience for a second. And I have big plans for the podcast. I'm saying them out loud this year. And this is something that I've always been passionate about, meaningful conversations. So it doesn't surprise me that the podcast medium is important to me. I'd like to thank all of you for listening along and for subscribing. Please know that pressing that button really does make a difference for us. It lets us know that the content's resonating. It helps us shape where we're going. And I just want to say thank you. You can also check out two podcasts that I think may be relevant if you enjoyed this one. One is the podcast I mentioned by Nate Regier, where we're going to talk about compassionate accountability, because I think, Jen, you do that extremely well, and we'll get the research from Nate Regier. The second one is a podcast I wrote solo called Stop Mothering Your Teams to Death. And it's the story of how women tend to fall to the lowest common denominator. And Jen, you've really called us up and out today. So those are two just best hits that I'm encouraging everyone listening. If you've enjoyed this, you may enjoy those. And so without further ado, thank you for watching and listening all the way to the end. Please know we're on YouTube as well. You can catch them if visual is for you. And with that, we sign off. Thank you, Jen Szpigiel.
Thank you.